Hello, I'm Simon Calder and I'm here in beautiful Scarborough to tell you about a promise. In 2004, TransPennine Express was created to run rail services within the north of England from coast to coast. The promise the company made was to revolutionise and revitalise rail travel.
The promise for the franchise was to revitalise and redevelop TransPennine and essentially to make it the preferred mode of transport for our customers across the north of England.
It's a £250 million project, 51 three-car diesel multiple units and 3 new maintenance sites. Tremendously exciting project and one of the biggest rail infrastructure projects across the north of England that has run in recent years.
We decided to invest in all manner of customer benefits, including refurbishing all of our stations, putting customer information on all of our stations, brightening them up, essentially revitalising and redeveloping what we were going to get to run as a train service. The prime issue that we had to deal with was make sure, as we've decided we're going to buy a new set of trains, it's going to come into the UK, it's going to be a set of trains that arrive on time. They go into service on the day we said they'd go into service, and they deliver the benefits to customers that we said they would get. It just had to be done, and it had to be done right first time out the box.
One of the key routes links the east and west coasts of the country over the Pennines, the backbone of England. The new trains would need to be powerful and reliable enough to cope with some extreme weather conditions and the difficult terrain. To make sure the new trains excelled in this environment, designers added a host of features. The Pennine Class 185 has 3 Cummins engines and a top speed of 100 miles an hour. At over 1.5 megawatts, the extra power means better acceleration and hill climbing ability, keeping it on time. It can even run all day on just 2 engines and still be more powerful than the old Class 158 trains. And if an engine should fail on one coach, the electrical supply is maintained to keep the air conditioning and lights on. It's tested down to 17 degrees below freezing and up to 40 Celsius for the British winter and summer. And when the 185 comes out of its depot in the morning, it's already warm inside for its first passengers. There's improved access with wider doors so people can get on and off more quickly. There are also pressure-sensitive edges on the doors, and each one can be locked individually for added safety and security. Not only did the new train have to be built for the challenging terrain, it also had to be designed for the different kinds of journeys that customers would make. Anything from shorter commuter trips to longer distance intercity travel.
TransPennine Express has quite a challenging market. We have a very high level of short-distance commuter flows around some of our stations, around Huddersfield, Leeds, Warrington, Manchester, where the demands are quite different to some of our longer-distance flows from the northeast or northwest.
We obviously have a lot of customers that use us for a leisure purpose, travelling in the middle of the day, same destinations, shopping purposes, visiting friends and family. And then we actually have, because we're so well connected across the north of England and with Manchester Airport, we provide a vital link for holidaymakers.
We've sought to get a very good balance between comfort for long-distance travel at the same time as giving good circulation space for those short-distance commuter flows.
This is one of my favourite attractions in the north of England, the National Railway Museum in York. And it was here that TransPennine Express asked its customers to get involved personally in the design process, to say exactly what they wanted in a new train.
When the project started, one of the first things we did was built a life-size model of the train. First time it had been done, I believe, in the UK. We opened it up at the National Rail Museum and let customers sit on a life-sized essentially wooden and cardboard mock-up of the real train and let them tell us what they thought it would be like.
There's nothing like the real thing, and the closest you can get to the real thing before you've built it is a mock-up, rather than just be in a 3D modelled computer world.
We probably had over 250,000 people that went through during that 6-month period who were able to give us a lot more feedback about the sort of things that they liked and the sort of things that they wanted perhaps us to revisit in the design, and we were able to include that in the actual trains as built.
Every comment from customers and staff was taken on board with one aim: to make the 185 the most successful train ever launched in the UK. The designers put in more seats and tested them for comfort. There's 154 in standard class, and they all line up with the windows. The 185 has plenty of space for larger luggage and mirrors so you can keep an eye on your case from your seat. Hand luggage fits in the overhead racks and you can see it on the rack. You can plug a laptop or mobile phone in at every seat in first class and at table seats throughout the train. And in first class there's loads of legroom and reclining seats for real luxury travel. And this is what the designers delivered. Throughout 2005, the first 185s were put through their paces at Siemens' purpose-built test track facility in Wildenrath, Germany.
We picked a date well before the first train was in the UK as to when it would run on the UK tracks. So it was essential for us that it would work first time, and it makes sure that they're a reliable product. They're designed for the Pennines. It's a demanding network in terms of hills and distance that we cover, so they need to work right.
Being over here is very much about going through the various procedures, trying to have a look at the different faults, replicating faults that we may or may not get back home, and trying to actually iron out these before we get there, so we're planned and we're prepared and we're ready for these units and vehicles when they come into service.
We have to make sure that enough of all the design and build issues are signed off in terms of safety, and that also we have proper procedures in place to manage the safe operation of the train. And we have to have test paths, and we have to have gauging clearance, and we have to have a whole host of other things.
At the moment we're conducting testing to ensure that the manuals are fit for purpose. We literally page turn the manuals and cross-reference the information that's contained within the text to make sure that it's correct. The overall challenge has been trying to learn the unit ourselves and then relay that information to simulator manufacturers. The CBT, the computer-based training program, again gets it into the manuals, and develop the train crew training to cover this.
For hundreds of hours and thousands of miles, engineers from Siemens and TransPennine Express, along with the drivers who would finally work on the 185, tested the train relentlessly.
There has to be a lot of coming together, not only with people from within TransPennine Express, but for outside organisations such as Siemens, the timings of waiting for different parts to come in from various different suppliers to make sure they come in on time. So there's a massive logistical challenge in trying to get things right at the right moment, at the right time, to make sure that things happen.
My immediate goal is to make sure that we get the customer service needs and the conductor operational competencies and the workings, the gubbins of the thing ironed out, so it offers, not only is it safe, not only are staff competent, but it offers the potential it has to deliver. We actually deliver, we don't fall short.
It's a cutting-edge design for train crew too. The specially designed driver's seat is tested for comfort and it's fully adjustable. There's a separate air conditioning system for the driver. And this full-width cab means improved visibility. On the 24th of November 2005, the 185 was unveiled to an audience of the press and influential representatives of the rail industry. The train took its first short passenger journey from the Wildenrath test facility to München-Gladbach. Had the engineers and designers got it right? Would the media recognise everything that had gone into the design of the new train?
I think it's superb. It's really impressive. One of the best trains I've ridden on for a long time as a new train product. Very comfortable, lots of legroom, lots of space.
I think they're great. I think they really are an improvement about what's on the route at the moment. They're really light and airy, and I think the mix of facilities for people using the airport and commuters is just spot on.
I think we've got a great train which will offer a great service to our customers. At the beginning of the franchise we said we'd revitalise and redevelop TransPennine for our customers. I think this is like the launch of TransPennine again, and this is what will happen next year.
We're having a fantastic day here. Christmas has arrived almost a month early.
I think there was a tremendous sense of excitement and at the same time a dawning realisation that this was very, very real.
A nervous day, waiting to see what the informed press would actually comment on it and how they would see the train against other trains that entered the UK. Very pleased with the results though. The feedback from the rail press and the regional press, the press in the north of England, actually whetted people's appetite. It told them that it was a really good product just around the corner, just coming to the UK.
We could already see that we had something here that was going to be special. Having said that, you never know until the moment the real thing is unveiled as to what the response is going to be. And I guess there was a sense of apprehension. It's a little bit like the opening night on a big show, isn't it? Everybody wants to succeed, but you never know until the audience has given you the final standing ovation.
On the new 185, the passenger emergency call system is accessible and clearly labelled. There's a state-of-the-art CCTV system to keep you safe when you travel. The passenger information system works with a GPS tracking system, and a friendly staff member makes the announcements. The toilet on the 185 has a simple door operation, a nappy changing facility, and is wheelchair accessible with indicators in Braille. The train is leading its field in accessibility with a dedicated area for 2 wheelchairs, fitted with laptop sockets and fold-away tables. There's also a space on the 185 set aside for bikes, with straps to make sure your cycle stays put. As winter set in, the first trains were about to start their long journey from testing in Germany to entering passenger service in the UK. Meanwhile, work continued on building the brand new depots in Manchester and York, the refuelling point in Cleethorpes, and the refurbishment of stations and facilities across the TransPennine routes.
This is the new depot at Ardwick for TransPennine Express. It's a huge hive of activity going on here. What we're seeing is a lot of people working in partnership to deliver the new trains for TransPennine.
We've got different contractors here today, all coming together and working side by side. We've got contractors laying track work, we've got the building services installation, we have got people doing the concrete work in the main shed.
Around 60% of the trains going to service each day will come out from one of the Siemens-operated maintenance facilities, and we believe that will be significant in delivering long-term reliability to both the industry and for customers travelling by TransPennine.
I've seen a lot of depots in my time in the railway, and believe me, there's nothing like this on the system. It's got everything that you want for maintaining a state-of-the-art fleet in good conditions, and I think it's going to be tremendous.
The run-up to Christmas was again filled with a bit of excitement. The train was arriving, and there's still some challenges on the whole project. We hadn't finished building the maintenance facilities, left a bit of concern in the project.
We had a lot of activities going on in terms of staff training, in terms of change of the way we delivered customer service. That was complemented by an investment in stations, customer information systems and CCTV systems at stations, and an amount of station upgrading work. So the whole of the customer offer really was being upgraded and revitalised as part of TransPennine Express's offering.
On Friday, the 16th of December 2005, less than 2 years after TransPennine Express was created, the first 185 arrived in Britain. But before it could carry passengers, it had to be tested on UK tracks. Would it cope with the tough conditions across the north of England? This was when the engineers would find out if they had got it right.
On the 16th of December 2005, the first train arrived through the Channel Tunnel. I don't think there's ever been a train that's been tracked so carefully in its transit across Europe, through the tunnel and up to Manchester.
When the train arrived in the UK, that part of the process was achieved, fantastic success. But a lot then needed still to happen in the UK. Siemens were presenting us with a train fit for purpose, and we had to accept it. It had to go through a lot of acceptance tests in the UK, had to run on UK tracks.
Today we're doing two things. We're running on this piece of line because it's got jointed track, clickety-clack jointed tracks. And we're testing how the body shell performs to see that there's no sort of resonances and it performs okay. And the other thing is we've deflated the airbag suspension, so the body drops 30 millimetres and it's riding on sort of rubber springs. The drive shafts have dropped in angle, and we're actually measuring any increase in forces, stresses and so on in the actual drive shaft. At the moment we're running on a T certificate, a test certificate, and you may have noticed that all the passenger doors are chained up. We've got no footsteps on, and the reason for that is the train's not fully gauge cleared. The platform clearances for the step have not been finalised. I suspect there are going to be a few more tests we're going to do just operationally. But in terms of getting the testing ready for the safety case submission, then we're almost at the end of that. The engineers will go back to Germany, write out the reports, and that will be submitted to the safety authorities to enable us to go into passenger service.
At 6:22 on the 14th of March 2006, a very important train carried its first passengers on an historic journey from Manchester to Hull. Resplendent in its new livery in bright blues and pinks, it's an absolutely stunning train.
First 2 years, it's all been kind of leading up to this, the introduction of the new trains, and it's nice to see it finally happen. For someone who's been around since more or less the start of the franchise, I'm taking this as a great positive, and I feel a sense of achievement in it.
It's like buying a new car. When you have a new car, you want to touch everything, you want to make sure everything's just there, and that's what I've been doing all morning since I've been on the service. I've been up and down the train. One of my colleagues says, "Could you not sit down?" I said, "No, I'm looking at this or I'm looking at that." It's a very exciting time.
Having worked for the project as a contract manager for well over 2 years, it's a fantastic feeling to be here with so many people.
I have felt really proud to be part of today because it's been very, very special.
It's been a good day today. A lot of visitors down. It gives me the opportunity to show off my station, and obviously the customers get the first chance to ride on the brand new service into Hull.
It's
It's a proud achievement to actually be the first driver on the 185, taking it out into public service. Very proud moment in 27 years on the railway.
We've talked about having new trains for such a long time, and now it's reality. We've actually delivered what we're actually talking about. So it's been good for everyone. It's been good for staff. Morale. It's also been good for our customers to see what we're actually going to give them for the future to travelling.
Light, airy, smooth. It's long, so there's more space. That's great.
They had the power that was required to take the gradients on the TransPennine route. But I think very spacious and very comfortable.
It was great to see it here on home turf, and you realise what a great quality train it is.
For me, arriving on the station that day and seeing all these key project players there, from Network Rail, from Siemens, from TransPennine Express, from HSBC, all of whom had contributed a tremendous amount personally to the success of that day, was a tremendously exciting event.
There had been a lot of planning and preparation to make sure that the day would work right. A lot of planning and preparation had gone in to make sure the train would work right. I guess I was confident. Some nervousness, some trepidation. As soon as it started moving, incredibly proud. Proud for everyone actually that's worked on it. Pulling into Huddersfield and seeing the passengers' reaction as they stood there and they saw a very bright train with pink doors pull in and the doors open, and it was so much more of a welcoming environment than they'd experienced the week before. I think their reaction was priceless.
Shortly after the first 185 entered service, the purpose-built Ardwick depot in Manchester was officially opened.
Today is another fantastic milestone in the whole project. The depot was built in just shortly over a year. Trains are in service from here on a daily basis. Customers see it as they go by every day of the week. Train crews see it every day of the week. And it is just fantastic to see it fully opened by the new Secretary of State.
TransPennine, I would argue, is a good example of how investment is now attracting passenger growth in the north of England. It's a vital service linking key towns and cities right across the northeast of England and indeed the northwest, underpinning the vital economic regeneration and growth that we've seen in recent years. So it gives me great pleasure to now unveil this plaque and officially declare this new depot open.
A day like today is a chance to stand back and look at what we've achieved, and we've achieved an enormous amount.
Very, very happy to be here today. I was immensely confident that today would go successfully, given the experience that we've had over the last few weeks in operations. The team, all of us knew exactly what needed to be delivered for today, and the teams got right behind it and delivered it. The important thing in having a facility like this is to be able to deliver the reliability of the train that everybody wants, that the customers want, that Network Rail wants, that we as TransPennine Express want. Here we have all the facilities that we need to maintain the fleet, the wheel lathe, the heavy maintenance facilities, heavy lifting facilities, fuelling, carriage washing and so on, and a good set of core skills to actually maintain the fleet through its life.
Throughout 2006, 185s continued to arrive in the UK, replacing the old Class 158s and introducing a new level of comfort and reliability to the routes.
I believe we've delivered on the promises we've made for this franchise. I think it's a story of success. I think the reaction from customers and the reaction from our staff and from everyone inside the industry, it is a genuine story of success.
We've put on board customer facilities, laptop sockets, catering facilities, comfortable ergonomically designed seats, really to bring something to compete head-on with people, to get them out of their cars.
I cannot think why you would want to sit on the M62 between Leeds and Manchester when you have a viable option, reliable option and a comfortable option you could take and travel by train. take the train. And when people actually take the train for the first time and they realise this is the standard of the quality they're experiencing, they are convinced.
£250 million is a massive investment, but it's been well spent on the TransPennine route. As we put more pressure on our environment, it's becoming essential that we develop an infrastructure of safe, reliable, revitalised public transport. Drawing from previous train launches and gathering feedback every step of the way from customers and staff, designers and stakeholders, the 185 is a great success. A train that's designed for you.
It's much lighter, much brighter. I like the colour scheme. It's more inviting, really. I would probably recommend it and say it's a comfortable journey.
I looked to make sure there was power there and able to plug in and get it straight on the laptop. Yeah, it's handy because you can do your work.
I thought it was quite pleasant. It's bright coloured and certainly clean.
You can sit back, you can read a book. I've read a newspaper. I've had a cup of tea. I've been well looked after with tea, actually. It's been a pleasant experience. You look out the window, it's not an unpleasant day today, so it's, you just let things go past.
They seem to be faster. They can certainly accelerate quicker than the old ones. They're cooler and they're on time more often, to my experience. Roll the rest of the fleet out as quickly as you can.
Everyone has worked together with a common goal that was set at the beginning of the project, and that was a train into service on the 14th of March, and it was meeting that promise. And everybody played a part. Our customer played a part, our contractors played a part.
It's not just about producing a product to a specification. It's more of a partnership to make the specification work for the environment it's going into. And that's been the greatest success and challenge, and I'm very proud of that.
We want to enhance and to transform completely the services, and the building block to be able to do this are this new train.
We said these trains will be in service in the spring of 2006, and they delivered it 11 weeks earlier than we'd planned. So not only did they deliver it on time and it worked when we took the train out of the box, but it came in on budget, so it's a great success.
We now need to make sure that the train is not the only experience that people have, that actually when they come onto our stations and meet our staff or purchase from our websites, all of it is the stuff that actually makes customers pleased to be going with TransPennine Express.
It's a new sort of era that we're entering. We're introducing new rolling stock across the network. There's a lot of investment. The staff are very motivated by seeing the new self-service ticket machines, the new trains, refurbishment of stations, and I think it's something to help improve the facilities for customers and encourage more people to use rail transport.
In due course, we can introduce additional vehicles into the trains and possibly introduce additional trains, and that is something which at the moment we're looking at. What is the case for expanding certain parts of the service?
With a company that is able to basically put their money where their mouth is, perform massive heavy investment in terms of rolling stock, in terms of people, in terms of infrastructure, the future is very, very good indeed. I find it very, very exciting and a fantastic place to be.
Not many franchises have this opportunity to create this new brand, the new concept, and to drive it through. We've got a good team here. We have challenges of meeting capacity in many places. We'd like to see these trains grow bigger. We'd like more of them. We're looking at new routes. It's a franchise with a very, very bright future.
ready for inspection.
BBC London.